sorry, you just don't see this kind of stuff on a perfect California morning. Every little alcove is a cute little stream and waterfall. I am just loving these waterfalls coming down the hills. They're so pretty. Every one of these is so unique, so pretty. Well, sorry to say, I will have to call this outing a failure because I forgot my hiking poles. I don't really need them on this road, but I forgot to throw them in, and they are the tent poles for my tent. So without them, I just will have to sleep out in the rain, and I'm not quite up for that. Having just failed in my attempt to go up the hill and spend the night in the rain and test out my rain gear because I forgot my tent poles, I thought on the way down the hill, why not talk a little bit about when things don't go right, which is, everybody's experience. I always think of my grandmother, Della Mae, grandmother on my dad's side, who was just this fun person. She was a game player, and she loved to just, any game she was in was fun because she just always engaged in this really playful joy of just playing the game, whatever the game was. Win or lose, it didn't matter. She was all in. She was fun when she was losing. She was fun when she was winning. But the funny thing about grandmother to me is that she just always had it. And I think about, we play this horrible game in our family called Liverpool Rummy. And Liverpool Rummy is a really maddening game because the people you're playing with are always like thwarting your plans. And so if you play very long, unless you happen to be lucky and be the winner, it's easy to just really get ticked off at each other and angry, and at a certain point to even check out of the game and just be like, well, forget it. I mean, kind of be pouty. And I've been guilty of that. Grandmother wouldn't have done that because win or lose, she was in. And I'm telling you about my grandmother because this to me is what this choice of joy and play is all about. So how do you deal with these ups and downs? Well, one, I've been using the word acceptance. You get to a place where you just accept that that's the way it is and jump back in and play. So, and that's not bad. That's not a bad word, acceptance. The problem with it that I keep struggling with is acceptance feels so passive. It feels like defeat. Well, okay, I accept it. And that's not what I mean by that at all. And I think a better word might be joy. Just choosing joy, not faking it, but just choosing this engaged yes to life in the face of the fact that, things don't always work out. In fact, they never totally work out. Like all of the existential choices, this is not situational. It's not based on what's happening. It's a choice of how to be, right? So in the face of vanity, will I choose despair or will I choose joy? How will I approach my life? Will I be like my grandmother Robertson and just embrace winning, embrace losing, embrace it all? I have another story of a very similar person. She was 70 years old when I stayed with her. And I was like on this summer mission in Ashland, Oregon. I stayed in this lady's house. She was so cool, Mrs. Swift. One time later, I was on my way through and I stopped to see her, and I had just lost a girlfriend. I'd been dumped, and I was so sad. And I was telling her this sad tale of heartache and betrayal. And I got about halfway through it and I looked over and she was squirming. I couldn't figure it out. I kept going and she just burst into laughter. She said, "Oh, you young people, my granddaughter Sean broke up with her boyfriend the other day too. I couldn't get through that one either." And then she actually, she said, "Hey, but tell me about it." It wasn't like a cold thing, but it was just here's a woman who had been, she had buried 2 husbands, been through World War II. She knew a little bit about suffering, and she kind of had the same joie de vivre. There's my horrible French. Joy of living that she just carried with her everywhere she went. There's just so much crap going on today, and so many, your social media algorithm and maybe some people in your life, whatever, is just dialed in at making you angry, making you want to check out or fight, despair, repair, war. It just to turn you into this not joyful, very much, on the warpath kind of person, or just a depressed person, someone who just says, heck with it. I'm out. Life's too stupid. This Donald Trump is too stupid. This politicians are too stupid. I'm out. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to go to bed. I'm just going to watch Netflix. And I'm not saying these things don't matter. It's just that at the story level, they're always changing. One day's up, one day's down. You might get the good cards, you might get the bad cards. If your choice of life, or whether to engage in life, is dependent on the success of your story, well, you're going to be up and down a lot. There's going to be days when you are happy, enjoying, and engaged in life, and other days where you just feel like, F it, this is too stupid, I'm out. But joy is a choice. It's not at least the kind of joy I'm talking about here, like the joy that is a choice of how to be in this world. I choose joy. I see the vanity of life. I see that I win some, I lose some, and sometimes the losses just plain hurt. It's not like I'm above that, or that everything's just fine or whatever, but I choose to embrace all of life, the good and the bad, and just I'm in. And the question is, what shall be my next play? What's my next play? And I love that word play, because when you play a game right, you really care about it. When guys play football, they're all in. They're just playing a game, but they're playing hard, because the game's no fun if you don't care. And you've probably run into people like that when you're playing a game, who just kind of like they don't care if they win or lose. It's only fun to play games with people who are engaged and in, so all in, so joy and play. This is the goal anyway. This is what I'm shooting for when it comes to this specter of the vanity of life. So yeah, I'm in, and that means I'm going to do everything I can to help make this a better country, make this a better world. One way of saying this is that it's the difference between a conditional yes to life and an unconditional yes to life. The conditional yes to life says, well, if things are going right, if I'm winning the game, if I can see some prize, or I'm enjoying, the day is going well, I'm sitting on the beach, the sun is shining, whatever. If the circumstances of my life are going in a way that I like, then I'm in. That's circumstantial. And it's circumstantial because, of course, those circumstances always change. You can be feeling that way one minute, and then, the next minute things change, and now you're out. So you're in, you're out. It's kind of miserable, and you're, again, trying to fix it when things are out, come up with some new plan, despair and repair. The unconditional yes is not based on circumstances. It's an existential choice. It's I'm in. I'm in. Why? There's no why. It's beyond. There's no reason. And hear that word reason. Like I come up with some justification or whatever. It's existential. It's I'm in because I'm alive. Just like everything around me here. It's so gorgeous right here. But every tree, every rock, every bird, everything in nature is like in and goes through all kinds of, you know, hard times. And but whether a seed falls on a nice fertile piece of ground and has an easy life in the sun, or, you know, lands on a rock and has to try to send its roots and find some nutrients somewhere and maybe gets blown off, it doesn't matter. As long as it's alive, it's in. Nature is that way. And so it's natural, I think, to live by this existential yes. Speaking of joy, look at that thing. I think it's just like, I'm in. This day is worth some celebration. Back home now, but I just have to share one more great example of what I'm talking about that happened at work. I was at a woman's 100th birthday party, and I shot a little video interview of her, and I asked her the question, you know, you're 100 years old, what advice do you have? And here's what she told me: keep going. And I thought, well, that's not very profound. But when I thought about it, I realized it was. She'd been through a few things in her life. Lost a husband, plenty of tragedy, plenty of ups and downs. Keep going. I think it's the same thing that I'm talking about in this video, about just saying, I'm in. I want to let her say it in her own words.
I'm ready to go to bed night here, and when I wake up, be somewhere else. Certainly, I believe that there is a source bigger than we understand, but I certainly don't think it's a human being sitting on a throne somewhere, sending down messages. When you look out in the sky, aren't you a little bit in awe? I happen to believe everything is vibration, but I think sometimes the word spiritual has taken a wrong connotation. I think that a lot of people are spiritual. They like certain trees, they love a garden. I mean, who's to say that doesn't have a certain elegance to it? Continue doing what you like to do. It's part of life. You're in it. And if it isn't your work, then it can be your hobby. Or you can go and sit on a bench somewhere and deteriorate. It is up to us. Keep going.